Hello, and welcome to the EVEEchoChamber. Today, another video for the new player guide. Space trucking with training wheels. Pyroxes Encounters. So far, I have focused on combat, and this is because I think it teaches you things about the game that you must know, no matter which path you take. But today's video is also on a valuable lesson. This can be used to make steady ISK, and you can advance the Do Encounters optional objective of the advanced tutorial very quickly this way as well. Lastly, this will also provide you a glimpse into the space trucking playstyle, so you can see if that is something you are interested in. Let's get started. I'm sure you have already learned from my other videos that the Amar Executioner frigate is the pinnacle of military technology, and all other ships are inferior to it. However, this tutorial has awarded us an upgrade of a trainer destroyer. While this pile of junk falls short in every category that matters, it does have one advantage over our beloved executioner: cargo capacity. This capacity is useful because for each Pyroxes encounter we accept, we have to transport 100 units of Pyroxes minerals, and when one decides to space truck, it is best to get it all out of your system at once. In this case, that means taking as many Pyroxes encounters as we can, all at the same time. As with all other encounters, we find these in our Encounters tab. I like to refresh, and then just wait another 30 minutes to refresh again when I decide to do Pyroxes encounters. This is so that when I'm in the station and I refresh the first time, all of the encounters should be as close as possible to my station, when they reset. And then I find the Pyroxes encounters, accept them, refresh again, and take any additional Pyroxes counters that pop up. You see, this time I get 4 Pyroxes encounters off of the first one, and then when I refresh the second time, I don't get any new ones. Bust. You can quickly differentiate Pyroxes encounters from other mineral delivery encounters by the reward value. Pyroxes encounters reward 45,000 ISK. This is why they are so popular. However, that is not 45,000 ISK of pure profit. Remember that we have to buy the Pyroxes, or mine it first. I prefer to buy it. And on top of that, I am in the Noob Corp, so I lose 4,500 to taxes. That's 10%. You have to look at your own corp to see how much you lose in taxes. I call this space trucking with training wheels because you learn a lot of things that you would need for space trucking as well. Because we are buying it, you know to check the prices of what you're actually buying. Compare it to the reward you're going to receive to see whether or not it's worth doing. You see the first order here, they're trying to sell it for 500 something ISK per ore. I know that I will lose money if I just immediately snap that up. This is why I spend so much time looking for a lower price. First, I try to find one in the station. While there were some reasonable orders in my station, the quantity was too small. I could not buy all 400 minerals at once. So I eventually settle for the decision to buy them 2 jumps out. If you are an alpha clone like myself, make sure that you actually try to buy the ore first before you leave. You don't want to travel out however many jumps to the station only to find you're not allowed to buy things in that station. If this is something you really enjoy, there's many ways to make it more profitable. You can mine the Pyroxes yourself. You can set a buy order for a lower price and just run the missions anytime your buy order is filled, or you can travel from station to station, buying all of the cheapest Pyroxes, and then hoard it all together in the station of your choice. And as enterprising young space truckers, I suggest you use these Pyroxes encounters as the baseline for the fees that you will charge or the contracts you are willing to accept. You can find out what your ISK per hour, ISK per M3, or ISK per jump is after you run enough of these encounters, and you can use that to determine if a contract is worth doing. These are the basic Pyroxes encounters, and they are not that valuable, but when you get to advanced encounters, there are more valuable versions available. Just like the military encounters are not that profitable this early on either. The basic level encounters are more for learning the mechanics of the game, and to help you explore different paths while you choose what you want to do. So let me use this opportunity to reiterate why I focus so much on combat thus far. If you want to do industry, you need combat for Inquisitor and Scout sites. If you want to be a miner and you hope to get the valuable ore in low sec and null sec, you better know how to fight as well. Even if you are steadfastly determined to avoid all fights, the best way to learn how to avoid a fight is to get into a lot of fights and try to avoid them. Now that we are arriving in the station where my purchased ore is, don't forget to move the ore into your cargo hold. That would be almost as embarrassing as forgetting to loot, or not activating the warp gate in an Inquisitor site. Then, after I have the ore, I go to my Encounters tab, and I start every encounter. I want to have all of the jump lengths listed there right next to each other. Now I'm sure you space truckers out there could find a better way to do this, but the way that I do this, I just go to the closest one, and then when I'm at that destination, I go to whichever the closest one to that destination is, and so on and so forth, until I'm all done. Let's talk about the training wheels for a bit. So if you try to just do space trucking immediately, right out of the gate, with other players, you can see on Reddit there's already a lot of people complaining, saying that players are doing things such as listing freight contracts with containers that are so large they don't fit into any ship that is currently available with the tech levels that players have unlocked. This cannot happen with Pyroxes Encounters, but if you're trying to use something like the Executioner, you can very easily accept too many Pyroxes Encounters at the same time, where you don't have enough cargo capacity to actually transport all of the ore. You can also forget to put the ore in your ship, do the entire trip, then have to go back but be too slow and not fulfill the contract in time, thereby failing the encounter. If you look at the screen now, there's something else I'd like to caution you about. Look at my autopilot button. I promise you I have pressed nothing, but my autopilot paused for some reason. I've noticed this happen repeatedly when I've been playing. And because I am an excellent person and I do not AFK, I'm totally fine. But imagine what would happen if you AFK'd and this happened on a null-sec or a low-sec gate. Though the possibility is very remote, you could be killed in low-sec or null-sec space, and you'll fail your encounter that way. And you'll learn about the autopilot and setting safe paths instead of short paths. So if you are somebody who wants to do space trucking 100% AFK, I urge you to stay in 100% safe routes. No low-sec, no null-sec. Pyroxes Encounters are also a great introduction to space trucking for ISK per hour and travel time estimations. You can just look at the system time in the top left, and you can see how long this takes me to finish these 4 encounters. We can calculate how much money I made from these 4 encounters, and then you can see what that is in ISK per hour and ISK per jump. But you already saw me buy the raw ore, and I already told you how much I make per encounter, so while we are waiting for this very long video to finish up, let's start doing the calculations now. So the Pyroxes cost us 79,600. That was a little bit high, but not too much higher than normal. Divide that by 4 and we get a cost of 19,900 ISK per encounter. The reward per encounter for basic level Pyroxes contracts is 45,000 ISK, minus the 10% corp tax of 4,500, minus the 19,900 cost of buying the Pyroxes, brings our earnings per encounter to 20,600 ISK. We are running 4 encounters at the same time, so multiply by 4 and we get 82,400 ISK. Keep in mind this is for basic level encounters. The advanced encounters pay much more, just as the advanced combat encounters pay much more and storyline missions pay much more. However, if you are still just a little guy starting out in space trucking, I suggest you base your rates around this, and then later on when you are an advanced space trucker, you base your rates around the advanced space trucking ISK per hour. Speaking of per hour, the raw footage for this was 57 minutes, so I guess that number is basically our ISK per hour too. I don't think it's going to be my main activity, but I do see the appeal of space trucking. It's semi-AFK, and you still get to see all of the beautiful space scenery anytime you look at your screen. You can make ISK mostly passively, since it's mostly AFK. And though it remains to be seen if this is intentional or not, in EVE Echoes it is safer than it is in EVE Online, so it's like a unique aspect of EVE Echoes. Though I overestimated the power of the 4x speed multiplier. Like I told you, it was 57 minutes raw footage. I cut out a lot of unnecessary jumps, sped it up by 4 times, and it still is going to be way longer. So I'm going to save you some time, I'm going to save me some time, and I'm going to cut to the end right now. Though it isn't the most exciting activity, not every activity has to be. It's fulfilling, it's relaxing, and the advanced versions are rewarding. Thank you for watching. This has been the EVEEchoChamber. Fly safe.